The air in the little town of Meadowbrook always smelled best early in the morning. It carried the sweet, warm scent of baking bread. This delightful aroma drifted from Alara's bakery, a cozy haven nestled on the main street. Alara loved her bakery more than anything. It was her dream, a small but vibrant venture she had poured her heart into for years. Every morning she mixed the dough with careful hands. Every evening she polished her wooden counters humming a quiet tune. Her days were filled with warmth, flour, and the happy chatter of her customers. Life felt simple, fulfilling, and perfectly needed, just like her famous sourdough. One crisp autumn morning, Alara arrived at her bakery earlier than usual. A strange, metallic smell hung in the air. She peered at her beloved ancient oven, the heart of her operation. It groaned and shuddered. A small puff of smoke escaped from its side. Her stomach tightened with a sudden cold fear. Alara tried to ignore it, telling herself it was just the old machine waking up. But when she loaded her first batch of bread, the oven refused to heat properly. It sputtered, then went completely silent. The beautiful golden crusts she expected never materialized. Her prized sourdough lay pale and doughy, unbaked. Panic began to bubble within her. This oven was everything. Without it, there was no bakery, no fresh bread, no comforting smell for Meadowbrook. She called a technician immediately. He arrived quickly, a kind man with grease-stained hands and a serious expression. He spent hours examining the silent metal giant. Finally, he shook his head slowly. The main heating element was completely broken. It was an old model, he explained, and the part was rare, expensive. The repair would cost more than Alara had saved in years. Her heart sank, heavy as a lump of unbaked dough. This was true adversity hitting her unexpectedly and hard. Alara sat alone in her quiet bakery that evening. The usual warmth was gone, replaced by a chilly silence. Her dreams felt fragile, crumbling like dry biscuits. What was she to do? She had poured every penny, every ounce of energy into this place. Giving up seemed impossible, yet continuing felt equally daunting. The thought of closing her doors, of telling her loyal customers there would be no more sweet rolls or crusty loaves, brought tears to her eyes. She thought of old Mrs. Gable, who came every day for a poppy seed bagel. She thought of young Leo, whose eyes lit up at her chocolate chip cookies. These were the faces that motivated her, the reason her venture thrived. She walked around the bakery, touching the flour-dusted counter, the worn wooden rolling pin. Memories flooded back, the day she first opened, nervous but beaming. The smell of her first perfect batch of bread, the cheers from her friends. It wasn't just a business, it was a part of her, a part of Meadowbrook. She couldn't abandon it. Not now. A spark ignited within her, small but steady. She wouldn't give up. She had to persevere. The next morning, Alara woke with a plan. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. She couldn't bake bread, but she could still make other things. She started making delicious pastries that didn't require the main oven, using a small, old convection oven she kept in the back for personal use. She made beautiful fruit tarts, delicate shortbread cookies, and rich chocolate brownies. It was a lot more work, and the profits were much smaller, but it was something. She put up a sign explaining the situation, promising her customers that the bread would return. She worked tirelessly. Mornings were for making pastries. Afternoons were spent cleaning, researching oven parts, and contacting suppliers. Evenings, she took on odd jobs in the town, helping neighbors with gardening or mending clothes, earning extra money, dollar by painful dollar. Her hands ached. Her feet were constantly tired. There were days she felt utterly drained, when the weight of her financial burden felt too heavy to bear. Doubt would creep in, whispering that she should just quit. But then she would remember the smell of fresh bread, the happy faces of her customers, and her own deep passion. This was her determination, fueling her through the long days and sleepless nights. Slowly, painstakingly, the money began to accumulate. It was a long, arduous journey. There were setbacks. A small batch of cookies burned. A supplier quoted a higher price than expected. Each time, Alara felt a wave of disappointment, but she refused to let it defeat her. She found her resilience in those moments, picking herself up, brushing off the failure, and trying again. She talked to other small business owners in town. They offered words of encouragement, sharing their own stories of overcoming challenges. Her community, sensing her struggle, rallied around her. They bought her pastries, even if they were longing for her bread. They stopped by just to offer a kind word. Months passed. The small convection oven worked overtime. Alara grew thinner, her eyes a little more tired, but her spirit remained unbroken. Then, one glorious afternoon, she counted her savings. It was enough, just enough. She ordered the part. The same kind technician returned, and after days of careful work, the old oven roared back to life, hotter and stronger than ever. Alara watched, a lump in her throat, as the first flame flickered to life. The next morning, the smell of fresh bread once again filled Meadowbrook. It was a triumphant aroma, signifying not just a reopened bakery, but a spirit that had overcome. Customers flooded in, smiling, cheering, eager for their beloved loaves. Alara, standing behind her counter, felt a profound sense of accomplishment. She had faced true adversity, endured hardship, and emerged stronger. She understood now. The real reason we push through tough times, the reason we face difficulties head-on, is not just for the outcome. It's for the dream we hold, for the people we care about, for the simple joy of creating something beautiful, and for the strength we discover within ourselves. It's the quiet understanding that some things are worth fighting for, worth every ounce of effort, every tear, every sleepless night. And when that fight is over, the victory tastes